we are a significant demographic all over the world. They could easily be, you know, a Real World in the Caribbean. They could easily be a, you know, Pimp My Ride in the Caribbean, because we have all the aspects of the culture in order to do that. You know, behind the music, wow, can you imagine a behind the music for Caribbean artists like Machel and Beanie and all the rest of them? That would be extraordinary.
Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the launch of the new MTV Caribbean channel. What's the name? What's the name? Listen, Frederick. You promised to keep this Caribbean channel real Caribbean.
Yo, you got my solemn, heartfelt promise. It is a Caribbean thing, right?
Oh, we gonna have soca on this Caribbean channel?
We gonna have real soca. Machel Montano, that's what bring it on. Machel Montano, big shot.
We gonna have reggae on this Caribbean channel?
Oh, you mean Beanie, Buju, all of them? Yeah, Jamaica.
We gonna have compa and zouk and creole on this Caribbean channel?
You know, no longer do we have to, you know, subject ourselves to being just squeezed in here and there. You know, in other areas, we have our whole channel, man. And the Caribbean is so diverse, so many different styles, you know. There's a reggaeton, there's salsa, merengue, soca, reggae, all types of music. And now we have one home for it, man. And it's such an amazing experience. It's about time, for real.
I'm just excited at the people behind Tempo, the fact that they are doing more than just music and music videos to show the Caribbean culture, showing fashion and just, you know, just the life and the style of the whole region. So I'm really excited about it and thrilled to be working with the people here.
We've been waiting for it for 20 years. Finally, it's here. Tempo, God bless you.
We didn't have a Caribbean channel growing up, so it's cool to see a Caribbean channel finally coming with the reggaeton videos, the reggae, all the hot stuff that we listen to, right? Yeah, it's really, really dope. They don't play that kind of stuff on MTV. Well, now they do because reggaeton's getting really big, but yes, it's dope to have a Caribbean channel. And now they are going to play it because they have Tempo.
I'm so proud. I am so proud right now to be a Trinidadian here now, to be represented by you guys. I think there is a future. I don't know if you know, but you're talking right now to Bunji Garlin's drummer. I'm the drummer for the Godfather's Asylum. And I can't wait for it to get the soca off the ground. As you can see, there's beautiful people. There's a lovely atmosphere here. And yes, there is room and it's going to happen. By the grace of God. Yes, it's going to happen. All right?
I'm live and I'm legit. I'm a Tempo, representing soca and calypso.
We have so much good music out there. We have so much talent out there. And for them to recognize that and to launch a channel for that, that is totally amazing.
Big up Tempo TV because that's what it's all about right now. You know what I say? Big respect. Time to take Caribbean music to a higher level.
Yep.
Respect.
Yeah, respect the launch. Caribbean music up on top. Trust me.
Tempo is a station that is gonna really spread soca, reggae, rap, soul. I mean, you name it, to the world. And let them know that here what's going on in the Caribbean, we have a lot more than beautiful beaches and beautiful sand and great Creole food and sexy women. You know, I keep saying about the women. We have a lot of great music too. And it's not just about that, it's about the cultures as well.
It's very important that finally Caribbean people's needs are being addressed musically for the TV.
I flew from Miami straight here because I want to be a part of this situation where MTV is putting together the first ever Caribbean, representing all the Caribbeans, no matter if you Caribbeans, you guys in effect, that's you guys.
Frederick, I could not think of a better place to announce a channel like this, other than in the heart of Manhattan, which is a multicultural melting pot.
Absolutely.
Now you're representing MTV Networks. This is the general manager, by the way, folks, of Tempo. This is the man with the vision, the endurance, and of course, the intelligence to pull together a project like this. Now, he's in New York, but he's actually from St. Croix. You're an island boy to heart.
Oh man, I'm a Caribbean man straight to the bone. You know that, right? Born and raised in St. Croix, Nivision parents, Caribbean all the way, man. You know that.
Now, tell us about 2005. This is a great endeavor. Caribbean Network is focusing on us, people like you, people like me, our music, our culture.
Yeah.
What is the audience like for that type of content?
I mean, the audience is already there, and the audience is really the world. I mean, the entire world has been consuming our culture for years, right? That's why you got 40 million visitors to the Caribbean every year. They're not just coming for the sun and the sand and the beach. They're coming to really feel us, the tempo. You know what I'm saying? The rhythm of the music. Exactly. The people, there's a lifestyle that we have that is very attractive. The music, the sports, the natural beauty of the place. I mean, it's just an inviting situation. So in terms of the audience, I believe the audience is the world. All people, in fact, here's my thing. You do not have to be Caribbean to be Caribbean, right? Because it's the way we live. Right? We have a certain joie de vivre, as the French would say, right? It's how we move, and that's why tempo is so, so important and sort of on point, because there's a tempo to everything that we do in the Caribbean. You know what I'm saying? It's a heartbeat.
Yeah, it's
so,
a rhythm, it's a routine.
Exactly. So sometimes you're up the tempo, sometimes you slow the tempo. We always on tempo, but there's tempo, right?
Anybody from Jamaica? Anybody from Guyana? Anybody from Grenada? Anybody from St. Lucia? Haiti crew in there. Port up Pussy. I want you to show White Cliff how we do it. Trinidad and Tobago! Hey! It's Carnival. It's Carnival. And we are just one. It's Carnival. It's Carnival. It's Carnival. Every other. It's Carnival. It's Carnival. It's Carnival. Put your hands up. Put your hands up. Put your hands up. Make some noise.
It's very important, and it's long overdue. I mean, the contribution of Caribbean people, what we've done for the States, has been a great thing. And I think launching a channel in the Caribbean is a great thing. It's gonna give the world a chance to see how much talent that the Caribbean has, you know. I still think that they're blinded by that.
All these various groups and entities, sent their best man forward to help bring this event off in true, MTV style, which of course ain't easy. So we had everything from our own little VIP tent set up backstage to a wonderful stage, venue, to this great, expanse of a location on the water, overlooking, the New York City skyline. You couldn't ask for anything more. And then, you have an incredible lineup of artists that represent the whole region, from, the Latin Caribbean community to the English-speaking community, the French-speaking community. I mean, we had Sparrow there.
This is gonna work.
Freddie McGregor there.
This is gonna replace.
When Freddie sang Big Ship Sailing in the Ocean, we were all backstage, just all tempo, we were looking at each other like, we're on,
Sit down, hold on tight, get ready, cause we're sailing again. Big ship sailing on the ocean, and we don't need no commotion. A big ship sailing on the ocean. Whoa, whoa, yeah. Hold on. Big ship sailing on the ocean. Tourist folk don't need no commotion. And then a big ship sailing on the ocean. Massive thank you very much. We love you. Oh, Lord, yeah.
All the executives and the top brass of MTV Networks and Viacom were there, taking pictures, with the artists. Judy McGrath, one of the head honchos here at MTV, was like, oh, I love Sparrow, and you're seeing all this interaction. You know very well who these people are, and you know very well how hard these artists have worked over the years just to get even a little blag, just even a little exposure.
No one really knew that we were going to be down at the Seaport other than the Caribbean Tourism Organization. And I remember at one point, after Rupee took the stage, I was standing off stage left, and I looked out, and all you could see from where our stage was behind under the underpass all the way back to the Seaport was people, and I was like, this is insane. You know, we didn't tell anybody about it. No one knew. And there were tons of people there, and there was people from all walks of life. You know, everything from, you know, brokers that were skipping out of work early, that, you know, were of Caribbean descent that wanted to come down, to people, you know, kids that were coming out of school, all sorts of people. So it was a lot of excitement, and there was a great energy, and it was such a sense of promise that day, because I think everybody that was there sort of knew that we were onto something.
It's the door opening, you know, it was the world opening the gates for Tempo, and New York City was our portal.
Everybody we have you all! Wait, beware, can you don't give it them? Just make nice, can you know you got the man? Stop your hand! Stop your feet up! I make me sing your body rock to the beat. You look neater, you look sweeter. Me doesn't love all your sexy physique. Get crazy! Get wild! Get drunk! Get high! Touch the sky! Touch the sky! New York! Touch the sky! Touch the sky! Everybody jump! 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 Jump!
You know, Frederick and I, we grew up together. We kept in touch for a while, and there was a period of time where maybe we didn't talk as often, but we knew what was happening with each other through our parents. So there's no surprise to me that this is where he is today, because all along, you know, it was being set up.
It's exciting, very exciting. You know, I always figured he'd do something like this. I never know to what extent he would be, but he always had the potential to do something like this.
You know, I grew up in the U.S. Virgin Islands, St. Croix. So I'm a small island boy. You know, St. Croix is a little schizophrenic in a sense, because it's a U.S. territory, smack dab in the Caribbean, right? So it has a culture that sort of incorporates aspects of both. But I think it's more Caribbean than anything else.
The fact that you can be from a very small island, you know, live on a street. You know, Hill Street was not exactly the best part of St. Croix.
Where we lived in St. Croix was merely considered the ghettos, because Hill Street, everybody says Hill Street. Whenever there's something wrong in St. Croix, it happened on Hill Street. But I raised 2 children on Hill Street, and both of them are shining stars. So it tells you that parenting is the key to success.
Really, the energy that it has taken to do what I've done over the last 3 years started right here on the street, Hill Street.
I always remember Frederick being, I mean, just from a very early age, very smart. When he got older, he became very popular. You know, he was Mr. DJ, Mr. Entertainer, always dancing, always dancing.
Funny, I used to sit right here in this corner, right here, and beat boxes of drums and a cheese can. That's when the music and the culture was in, you know, right in this corner right here.
You know, our parents did not play. They were very strict. I think like many Caribbean parents, they wanted to be sure that their kids did well, and so education was a big piece of it. But not just the education, it's the work ethic, you know, the fact that his parents owned a store.
I grew up in a business, a small business. My parents owned a, you know, what most would call in the Caribbean a rum shop. But it was a little more than a rum shop.
You know, he grew up with people who were doing for themselves, helping others. And in our community, the Treetop wasn't just a store.
And this was my parents' store as I grew up. You know, it was a grocery store and a bar. And it was the staple in this community in terms of a neighborhood store. So everybody knew it. It was Treetop Grocery, it's called. You know, everybody knew my dad as Morton or Pajo. And everybody used to come and check it out.
That's where you'd go to get your cheese, you go to get your kerosene. People would get caught up in the morning and in the afternoon what was happening in the community. You know, so it was a place that connected people.
So when you talk about, you know, sort of where I come from, my roots is real Caribbean. You know, we had a store and we lived in the back of the store, you know, and every morning I would come down, you know, say good morning to the people in the store, and I would walk to school right down this road to catch the bus. So there's a lot of memories here, man. It's just incredible. My father took this store and turned it into, guess what? this store. He bought this land here and built this building, and he built it. You know, my dad is one of them guys, that typical Caribbean guy that knows how to do pretty much everything. And you know, I think a lot of people know that I call him my hero. He is my hero, and this structure is one of his, you know, many buildings that he built himself.
I've always wanted to work for myself because I realize that you got to work for people, and you never get to the top of your level. So in order to bring everything out of you, the best of you, is to do your own thing. And that has always been my pride and joy.
And so I didn't really grow up in this because I left for for college the year this was built. But I came back every year from college for summers, and this is where I spent, you know, my summers and my spring breaks right here. I used to come back, and my spring break was not spent in Daytona or any one of them beaches. I used to come back right here, work in the shop, lift up Heineken boxes, lift up Guinness boxes, you know, and help my parents do what they needed to do. Right above is the house, so we live above it, you know, and so everything is convenient. My dad believed that if you have a business, you got to be close to your business so that you could feel your business and be successful in your business. And you know, from that I learned a lot of lessons. Hello, good morning. In the truest sense of the word, not just with my parents who are extraordinary people and my heroes, but really a village of people. So when they say it takes a village, I grew up in a village in a sense, because I grew up with people who used to come to that grocery store and that bar all my life. Many people used to come into the store and say, you know, you lucky boy, because your parents own this bar and store, you could just take it over when you finish school. And I remember my dad used to say, nah, that's not what's gonna happen here. If that happens, I'm a failure.
We sent him away because we realized what he wanted was not in St. Croix. And in order for him to get where he wants to go, he must leave. I mean, it wasn't easy.
So hearing my dad say that, then the aspirations moved from, oh, it's cool that my folks own a store, to, well, you know, they expect me to do something more. And so college in the United States was, that was a given. That was a given after, you know, my parents, that, you know, I had no choice in that. Growing up in St. Croix, I was always a culture man. I was always a culture man. I mean, my activities in school reflected that. You know, I was in all of the plays, I was in band. So once I got to the US, that didn't change. So I sought out, you know, I went to Rutgers University in Jersey, and as soon as I got there, and I heard there was a West Indian organization. And not just heard, but that it was actually a strong organization on the campus. But regardless of whether it was strong or not, I was going to find the people in it. So I immediately got into the leadership of that organization. I became president of it. There is interestingly a event still at Rutgers University that I started. Interestingly, I was president at the time, and then it was this woman from Belize that was vice president. And I came back from Carnival in St. Croix one Christmas after seeing, and I think seeing, like, you know, our traditional Queen show. And I came back to Rutgers. I said, why we don't have a Queen show? We should have a Queen show. You know, I'm the head of litigation right now as we speak at MTV Networks. I'm responsible for all of the litigation, as well as what we call the intellectual property and the pre-broadcast review. So as a lawyer by training, that's how I came to MTV Networks. Prior to that, I was at Viacom, the parent company of MTV Networks, and I actually headed litigation there as well. So that's how I got to MTV Networks, is as a lawyer, and on the basis of those legal skills. Folks didn't realize I was a big culture man at the same time. 2.5 years ago, I'm sitting here at MTV Networks, and I'm doing what I was hired to do, and I think most would say a pretty good job at it. And I'm thinking to myself, well, Caribbean people have contributed so much to the world, and particularly to North America in many ways, to world pop culture. We over-index in everything. We have high educational levels, high household incomes, high educational levels, as we talked about. We are culturally rich people from music, from such cultural ambassadors as Bob and Harry Belafonte, and the list just goes on. That's a story that don't need to be told again. But in the sports area, folks say that the Caribbean exports more athletes to the world than any other region per capita. And that's true. We know that, from cricket to baseball to basketball to everything, track and field, all these sports. We are at football, soccer. Then our food is just extraordinary. All kinds of spices going on, making everybody happy. Travel and tourism, everybody coming. 40 million visitors to the region every year, 20 million from North America. I started to think about all of that, and I was like, wow. I said, well, wait a minute. These are all the things that make great television. There's no other industry that can affect society like media. So I'm here in this huge, big media company. I'm running their litigation department, intellectual property. I'm from the Caribbean. I know the richness of the culture and the people and the contributions.
I was at the BISLA conference with Frederick Morton. I met him there, and we started talking about our culture. Mine being Cuban and his being from St. Croix. And he told me about this idea that he had for this channel that would just focus on Caribbean culture and Caribbean lifestyle and Caribbean music. And because I love salsa and merengue and bachata and that type of music, I right away told him that I would help him. So from that point forward, I started going to the love meetings on my lunch hour.
And so I said, well, listen, let me, I have a decent relationship with the CEO of the company, and let me drop this on him and see how he reacts.
One Love meetings were every Wednesday in the 34th floor, 1515, the main MTV building. And it was just meetings. We had a couple meetings where we would talk about show titles, what Tempo was about, what we wanted to do.
I agree with Leslie with this. I think that the colors on here are too dark, and I don't think it really is representative of the channel and of the culture. So I think definitely if we added a little bit more color, it would definitely stand out and pop out a little bit more. So
it was really a sort of an incubation of what the channel became, because it was a free exchange of ideas, and it was a way for people who may not be able to contribute creatively on the channels that they work for, but had the love and the knowledge of the region to come together and come up with show ideas and channel names and show names. And
I said, Tom, I got an idea. I don't know what you're gonna think about it, but here's my idea.
It was really a unique experience to be a part of something that wasn't yet born. But it's like we were all in labor at that point, and we were all just sort of nurturing the idea, grooming the idea, hearing feedback from everyone, getting everyone's input. Frederick would be at the helm, sort of mediating and fielding questions and getting that feedback that's necessary when you're trying to please a large audience, which of course, first and foremost, is the Caribbean region. So my first introduction to Tempo was at a One Love meeting.
Looked at me and he said, maybe something might be there, So I said, all right, well, I'm gonna go back and do a little bit more work, and then, maybe we talk about it again.
He told me about this amazing idea he had for a Caribbean channel, and from the start, I was a convert. Really loved the idea, wanted to be a part of it.
I had lunch with him again, and I said, I got a 20-pager for you now, right? And he said, okay, well, you serious about this? And I said, I'm very serious about this. I think there's something here. And he said, all right, well, you should go talk to so-and-so. And I said, all right. And he said, you got to run it through the organization. And it has been a real journey from that person that I went to, whose attitude was a little bit different than Tom's. And, you know, and just sort of navigating it through the organization, it falling on some deaf ears, it falling on some receptive ears, it falling on some, you know, get out of here, you're a lawyer ears. You know, what? Caribbean? I mean, you know, that's a rum punch thing, man. You know, really, there are Caribbean, a lot of Caribbean people in the United States, because it started with this concept of launching in the United States first. He said, yeah, you know, really, I mean, that sounds very small, very, it went from that, you know, to, oh, that's a hot idea.
Casting. Well, that was actually the end of my internship. I wasn't really working with Tempo, but I still wanted to be down with Tempo. And they're like, castings for VJs. I'm like, that sounds pretty cool. So Leslie gave me instructions on how to coordinate that. We basically put out emails. We went through a casting agency.
What up? This is Makita.
What's up? This is Kevin Laws kicking off, aka Go Hard or Go Home. We're kicking it off with
It would be nice to fly like an eagle.
We're kicking it off. The done is about thing we call, oh, I'm sorry, take it back.
Finding step by step the final destination. Your Jamaican Asian invasion.
What's up, New York? This is MTV and this is the boy mentioned Kid and we're kicking off.
If I could be the bright sun, not is just the shining.
What's up? This is Neil Omari, aka Island Boy Omari.
What's up, China here? Welcome to Pull Up Selector. Plenty of videos heating up for your morning.
And a full moon rotating its motion.
You're kicking it off with the only.
What's up? This is Raven kicking off the only Caribbean show. The only with.
Hey!
Only Caribbean Network show.
Oh my god, I don't know why I can't get this.
Me so,
What's up? This is Pasha kicking it off with only the best of.
Kicking it off, we'll have the best of.
What's up?
Hey, what's up? It's China. Excuse me.
What is wrong with me? Oh my god! Okay, my name is Nicole and I'll be your VJ for today.
What's up? This is Paul Wayne, aka Mr. Gigolo Soul. See?
What's up? It's Marie here. Welcome to Pull Up Selector. I would cry, it would be so nice. It is all next right here. Pull it up, Selector. Heat it up. Oh, sorry. Meanwhile, it all starts with Pull Up Selector. Yes, sir. We met at the Hilton Hotel. I'll never forget it. We met poolside at the Hilton Hotel in Trinidad. And as I walked towards him, I'm looking for who this person could be, you know, this senior SVP legal counsel at MTV Networks. You know, you can't help but have an image in your mind of what this person would be like. And I'm looking around the pool terrace and I can't find him. And eventually, you know, this smiling face, you know, looks over to me and goes, "You Janelle?" And I go, "Are you Frederick Morton?" And he goes, "Yes, I am." And I was in shock. So from that moment, I knew that Tempo was going to be something special, something new, something different, because there was this confident, easygoing, you know, proud black brother, you know, young, you know, handsome, sitting by the pool lounging, you know. So he got right into it, told me all about what he had in mind, all about what his visions and his dreams were. You know, I was hooked, line and sinker, from the first moment. I took him on a shoot with me, he met some of my colleagues, so he really just got a full dose of what the scene was in Trinidad and, you know, what my vibes were and what my movements were. So I would say that that was really the beginning of the beginning for my journey with Tempo. And he did say upon, the last day before he left, he goes, Janelle, listen, I can't make any promises right now for anything. I'm just trying to pull this thing together. But one thing I can promise you is, when I get that call, you get that call.
We wanted to spread the message as wide across the Caribbean as we could. And hence came the idea of doing, performances or concerts on each of the several islands that we chose.
The original list was Jamaica, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, St. Croix, St. Martin, Barbados, and Nevis. I think we're the first 7. And then we whittled it down to 5. Oh, and Trinidad. We whittled it down to 5, dropping Puerto Rico and St. Croix. And it was a challenge, to say the least. Having come from a live event background, the logistics of putting on concerts in general is a huge undertaking. To put on concerts that are shot for television is an even larger undertaking, and to do them in such proximity to one another is just insane.
Apparently there was a new, I believe it's called Vince, there was a new hurricane, but it has downgraded, so it shouldn't be a problem. However, when I was doing the contact sheet, I put a little weather guide. It is wet season for all of the islands, so it said expect some kind of rain every day. Typically it's not an all day kind of thing, but there's storms that blow through just because of the hot climate. So bring your rain gear. We have a couple umbrellas that we put in the pack, the lunch packs. A couple umbrellas, a couple ponchos, one big one for cameras or something important. But really, it's supposed to be pretty rainy every day.
When we launched Tempo to the world, we had our first launch event in Jamaica, the first of 6. We were going to do it in Barbados and St. Martin and go down to St. Croix and to Nevis, but Jamaica was our first. And what a special moment. It has a really special place in my heart because that's where Tempo was baptized.
The Almighty sent us a hurricane.
Well, I'm not coming out there.
There was supposed to be 2 big shows, during a long weekend in Jamaica. It was Heroes Weekend. So you could imagine the whole thing was set. It was going to be this great tribute on this fabulous weekend. The occasion was right.
Boy, I tell you, it was a very, very difficult moment, but it was a blessing. It was an incredible moment because that's where the good Lord put his hand on Tempo and said, go forth, you Caribbean people, and rise. So for 3 days we were preparing for this launch that was to happen, on Saturday and Sunday of that weekend. We were to have 2 big nights, one with roots rock reggae, Toots and the Maytals, Jimmy Cliff, Richie Spice, etc. And then the next day we were to have dancehall, a tribute to the dancehall. We were to have Bounty, we were to have Beanie, etc., etc. And the rain just did not stop. And I can't begin to tell you, what kind of moment that was because this was after 3 years of planning. And we had a hurricane, a major hurricane in which we were to launch in.
The rain in Jamaica basically was incessant. A lot of the roads were washed out. A lot of the artists, we couldn't get them out of Kingston. People were stranded in their homes, up in the mountains. It made everything that much more difficult.
Which one in here would go on a song in tropical storm weather? They don't even want to go on plane in regular weather. Right. So I'm not going to, what I'm saying? None of these people can do that.
You're lying. You are lying. So they need drums, they need percussion. What else do they need? A bass rig. You need a... Okay, so, you know what? Right, so everything. They need everything, basically.
They need a guitar rig, they need drums, they need percussion, they need a bass rig.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone under as much pressure as I did see Frederick Morton Jr. in that moment, that weekend. Because you can imagine hundreds of people behind and in front of the scenes asking the big question, what are we gonna do? And more specifically, it started to be, well, what are you gonna do? It was his decision to make. What do you wanna do? What are you gonna do?
I remember vividly praying every single day for this rain to stop. It's just an amazing thing because the rain just would not stop. And I remember Saturday it came and the rain even started to come more. And you know, we continued to prepare, and I just knew that there was something in this rain, something in this water that had meaning. But I gotta tell you, Jamaica, it was a difficult moment. So we decided anyway, Saturday came and the rain kept coming, and we ultimately decided to cancel rather, the Saturday show. You know, it was just too much, and we decided to smash both shows into one and bring roots rock and dance all together on Sunday. I personally believe that things happen for a reason. Maybe there's more folks in the room also that believe that. And I don't know what the reason is yet, but that usually reveals itself. And so I want to thank everybody for the work that's going on here, first of all. Personally, I really appreciate it. People getting paid for this, but it's love that really is going to move Tempo. So love it, right, is what I'm asking you to do. Love it. And let's go with the flow, and let's make the adjustments that we need to make.
I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. Oh yes, I can make it now. The pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is the rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. Look all around, there's nothing but blue sky. Look straight ahead, nothing but blue sky. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Here is that rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. Sunshiny day, hey, oh, it's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. Hey, gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. Gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. Sunshiny day. Bless the man that walketh not to the counsels of the reptilians,
Stand not in the ways of sinners, nor sit at in the seat of the scornful. But he and she delights in the laws of the Most High, and in his laws that he meditate day and night. And we are like the tree that is planted by the rivers of waters, that bringeth forth fruits in due seasons. Our leaves also doth not wither, and whatever we do it is prosperous. Those Luciferians are not so, but I like the shaft which the wind driveth away. Therefore they shall not stand in his judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Most High knoweth the ways of the righteous, but the ways of those reptilian must perish. It is a bright, bright sunshiny day. It is a bright, sunshiny, 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 sunshiny. It's a bright, sunshiny day. It's a bright, sunshiny day.
I knew that there was something in this hurricane, a lesson that was here that was going to say Temple is going to be forever. And so at that moment of adversity, of challenges, I realized that the good Lord was blessing us, anointing Temple and sending it forth so that the Caribbean can rise through Temple. And so at that moment I knew that Temple was baptized.